Masechta Sanhedrin, the Lamed Amud Aleph. We're starting from Chavtesamet Beis, around 13 lines from the bottom. Ravina. Okay. Here we go. Ravina ikla lidam haria. Ravina was invited to the place called Damharia.
That's Bed-Stuy. Bed-Stuy.
Around 11 lines from the bottom. 12. Amalei, so Avdimi, by Ravhuna, yet mit Damharia, Ravdim by Ravhuna from Damharia said to Ravina, Metaltlin is the a case where he has Metaltlin, right? Yeah. And the metaltlin is still there. Let's say money. He gave him money. He lent him money. Yeah. The guy didn't use the money yet, so it's there behind. So yes, we learned by karka. Yeah. By karka, if he made a kinyan, right? By karka, then he could automatically, or even by karka, he did make a kinyan when he was made. He says, "I admit it's not my karka," right? Yeah. So that's it. Then you can write a star automatically on that, based on his idah. Huh? In front of 3 or 2? Even in front of 2 Adam, he says. Yeah. In front of 2 Adam, if he was Maida, because there's no other step. By Metaltlin, if he was Maida in front of Adam, that he has Metaltlin of his friend, but it's not Be'ain. So there's another step. You have to actually go collect also. Karka is always there. So he says, it doesn't move, it's there. So if he admitted it's not his, automatically the other guy keeps it, the previous owner, it goes back to the previous owner. But here, in this case, my Metalton, he still has the money. The money's sitting there, the money that he lent him. And he's made it, the money belongs to the other person. He borrowed it from him.
He borrowed from him and it's lying there.
And it's lying there. So we want to know, could we write a star? And he has, it's because he could take, because the money's there. It's like karka.
And what does the other person say?
No, that's it. So we want to know, could he write the star?
But, I mean,
the guy didn't agree to write the star, let's say, because he has, it's a disadvantage to him. Should we listen to the Leva? Because the Leva says, I don't want, I never instruct you to write a star. Don't write it because Milva's late on it. No, I can still use the money. By writing the star, you're making me problems. It's a disadvantage.
By writing the star, you're taking away from the Leva.
From the Leva to be able to use the Milva.
So
why would you do that? The Yamada Amalek because he was made already, he didn't pay back. So he says like Makaka. If he's just like by a dog, Kaka, you write a star. Yeah. Even against knowledge of the one that's made, so too you write against the one who's being made by Metaltalin. Okay. Because through the Haidah, he's telling him, here's the money, and that's it. Ravashi Amar keep the mechasig of Vaina. Ravashi says still the metaltlin he has to collect. Meaning it has to be done in front of Adam. Karka is there, but my money he has to show he paid it back. There's another transaction, so he cannot write up a star because being that there's another transaction warranted. There was a mice with a star. That 2 Adam was signed. Lo have a kasaba Amma Lana Kisva Chisma Avulei. The normal nusach of a star was that the loiva told me to write up the star, Amalona loiva, kisu es a star, and sign it and give it to the malva. But that's not what was written in the star. So we want to know, is that this a valid star or not?
But what was written in the star?
That the loiva borrowed money from the malva. But it doesn't say that he owes him the money, but it doesn't say that he said to the he said that he could write up a star and have a he does. Okay, usually that's the nusach of the star. That's the nusach of the star. So Abai it up. The Amitavai Yahainu Reish Lakish. This didn't follow Mamish Reish Lakish. The Reish Lakish by Reish Lakish said the negate star mechira. We don't know if the mecha was adult when he sold it. Okay, Reish Lakish is talking about. That at that we learned in the Gemara before, you have to be 20 years old in order to be able to make a sale by karka. By Yisayim we were talking about then. So we said Chazaka eina edem chesma al ashtar lim kinas begadol. So the Shlaka says if there was a star mechira, it's a Chazaka. The edem would never chasma on a star unless they knew that the person who's doing the sale is a gadol. So because we say Edom medaktik to sign only on something that's done k'halacha. So to an Inyan, it's a chazaka. Edom would not sign a star if the Levi didn't give the instructions to write up the star. So even though it's not there, it's as if he gave the instructions.
You don't have to be a person here, just Aedis.
Aedis.
You don't need a person.
No. And where do we see similar? We see even by Achrayas. If a star is considered as if there's Achrayas. If there wasn't written that there's a guarantee, it's as if there was a guarantee. If he didn't write it, Achrayas, Toy Sefer. Okay. Sag ich mal, Maskiv, Lord, is there such a thing that we don't know and the Safrim who are Seifrim who are writing up the star, they know better than us. But there are many Dayanim that don't know that Adam could only write on a star unless they get instructed by the Levi. When they see the Levi borrowing from the Malva, right? A lot of people think you're allowed to write up a star. A lot of Dayanim think, hey, it happened, so you're allowed to write up a star like you thought. Not every.
Don't we have a specific cases where a Malva prepares many times a star in case something was
Yeah, but only with the instruction of the Levi. He's not going to do it unless the Levi agrees to it.
He wants to have it ready.
He wants to have it ready. The Levi does it, but the Levi writes up the star. So anyway, so he says, there's many Dayanim that don't know this thing, and you're going to tell me that Seifim do? How could you say that it's Chazaka that the Sefer would never produce a star and allowing Aiden to sign on it that's for sure, but we're saying, and the Sefer to allow it, and to say the Sefer, I'm going to ask the question, did the Levi instruct you? Maybe the Sefer don't even know this. It's just like there are many Dayanim that know it. So you know what they did? They said, okay, they went ahead and asked the Seifrim of Abaye who write up the studies.
They did actually
They did a survey. The Yodi, they can do it. They said, okay, let's go to the Safri the Rava. The Safri the Rava, the Yodi, and they also knew they did. So obviously, it's something that they would not do unless they knew for sure that he was instructed, that the Lev instructed.
What's that they gave us 20 though? How do we throw in a mess of 20?
No, that story with the 20 from Reish Lakish, that they had a shtar mechira, but you could ask the Shaila, how do you know he was at the age of 20?
So you assume that it is.
So we say because Adam and the Safrim would not allow a star to be written unless they knew for the sure that the guy was 20. Okay, Zakti, but I saw there was a mice with a star, there were two Adam signed it. They have a kasabay duchron pizgame. They wrote it, it was like a diary. This is a lashon for Dayanim. That means this is a star that was written in front of Dayanim. It was written that nusach. The kol lishnan deveidinei, and also all the other lashonis that is normally written by a star that's done through a bezdin. And he didn't write the story as it was. The guy was made in front of three Dayanim, and then when it came to sign, one of the Dayanim had already died. So, but the two could sign, but they have to write what happened. That he was made in front of three Dayanim, and one died. So and here it wasn't written that way. And he didn't write that when he was made there, it was in front of three Dayanim, and now one is not here. So the Shaila is the star that was done through a bezdin of Shleisha, and only two are signed on it. Is it considered a kosher star or not? What? There's no Twainus. It's a star that was written by Dayanim. It was made in front of Dayanim. Yeah. No, but they have to write that in the star. When you sign it, why is there only two chsimis? Because the whole lashon is a lashon of Dayanim. A star that's written with Fnei Dayanim. So where's the third signature? So usually you write that there was three, he was made in front of them, and one died. So Ravina thought to say, Hadem Reish Lakish, this din, we learn out it's chazaka that the Edom would not sign if it wasn't done the right way. Obviously, here also it's chazaka, they wouldn't have written a star, only kedas or kehalacha. Surely there was shleisha when he was made there, and this, that there was only two signatures, we could understand why, because one died. So they said in the name of Rava. In every instant, we are concerned. He says that we maybe there was only two, and they thought two are kosher to be Dayanim. Says the Gemara. That's the halakha for you need a machriya. You can't have a bezdin of two.
What is this bezdin doing? Certifying what?
that he was made that either the money belongs to the guy or the karka belongs to the guy. If in the star was written Beidina, that it was a bezdin, right? And it was written the lashon of like a diary, like it's usually a star that's written of a bezdin. More than that, you don't have to write in order to notify that it was done in front of 3, because everybody knows 2 is not called a bezdin. And if it was written with a lashon of a bezdin, the star, surely there was 3. So you want to do a bezdin chatzif. Maybe it was a bezdin chatzif. Bezdin chatzif is 2 dayanim. Dama shmul shnaim shadanu. 2 people that judge. Dinay and din. The din is a din al shenikru. Bezdin chatzif. Chatzif. It's only called a bezdin chatzif. What?
That's by a judgment, not by signing a document.
What do you mean? No, we're talking about bezdin. We're talking about that he was made
a
a.
right?
Right.
So how can
They judge. 2 people that judge is a bezdin chatzif. You have that here in Crown Heights. It was going on for many years. Only 2 out of the 3 dayanim were
Wait a minute, what's the word bezdin chatzif? Chatzif means chutzpah.
Because you need to have 3. You need to have machriya just in case 2 are arguing. You need a third one to be machriya.
So bezdin of 2 has no validity?
It has validity, but it's called bezdin chatzif. He'll call only shmul, yeah. So
there has validity.
That has validity. The Kasab Bey in the star was written. He says it couldn't have been a bezdin chatzif because it was written by Din the Rabbana Ashi. It was a bezdin of Rabashi, and for sure they knew that 2 is not called a bezdin, and it surely was 3. In fact, you might have been doing Rabbanan the Ravashi Kishmul Svilu. Maybe the Chachamim that came from the Beis Medrash Ravashi held like Shmuel that a bezdin chatzif is good. And when they wanted to sit by Marna Leila Rabbana Ravashi, Amalon Rabbana Ashi. He says Ravashi himself said to write this star, and if Ravashi was there and he was the one, so surely he would have never allowed in front of 2, meaning without the loiva, meaning that it had to be a loiva being made in front of Shleisha. Okay. No. Okay. If one person said to the Yisayimim, Anira Isi, some stranger came, and he tells the Yisayimim, I have seen Avichim Shehit Memoyes Beshida Tevel Migdal. I saw him hide the money in a closet, a box, or a chest. Beshida Tevel Migdal, either like a closet or a box. He hid the money or in a chest. And he said, these money Shapleinihim belongs to that person. So Maisa Shenihem. Or it's the money of Maisa Sheni. If you want to know what the Hebrew here, he brings down the lot. A carriage, a trunk, and a closet he uses. He says this money that he hid, that their father hid. And these 3 places, and one of these 3 places, don't belong to you, Yisayimim. It belongs to that person who he says he owes money to, or it's a Maisa Sheni.
Oh, yeah.
So he says, Lo Yamaklum, it's worthless.
What's worthless?
What he's not believed, this aid that testifies,
it's one
aid, outsider. But in the field, if he says his father hid the money in the field and he said it belongs to somebody else, or it's Maisa Sheni, we do believe him. Why? Because there he has amigo. He could have taken it himself and give it to the person who the money is owed to, that he says it's owed to, because in the field he has access. In any case, where he's able to get them, take the money and give it, or from the 2 of this other to give it to the person who's owed to Dvarav Kayamin, that he's believed with amigo, because if he wanted, he could have himself taken it and give it to the person who he says it's owed to.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't want to dig it up.
It's there, he could easily do it. But if he has no access to it, Lo Yamaklum, it's worthless, because he couldn't. It's not amigo. He doesn't have that he could have taken it because it's in the house. A second case, the children themselves saw that the father had hid it in a carriage or a trunk or a closet. And he said it belongs to this person. So he says it, or he said it belongs to Maisa Sheni. The father told the children. Wait. Then he died. But in the lifetime, he told him that it belongs to somebody else, so it's Ma'aser Sheni. So if he said it Kemoisa, like he's giving over Tzava, the word of Kayami, his words are fulfilled, and the money has to be given to whom he said he owes the money to. Or it's Ma'aser Sheni. Not written, no. But we say, but if we're suspicious that he said it just like you said, that he's thinking that they shouldn't, he was playing with them because he didn't want they should accumulate big expenses because they know there's money around. So he told them it's not their money. It doesn't belong to him. Or they shouldn't think that he's an usher and also accumulate expenses. So the kids will start spending, a spending spree. So then, Taka, whatever the father said is worthless, and they're allowed to do with the money what they want. A third story, there was a person who was mitzvah that his father didn't tell him where he put the money. And the son that comes to people at night and tells chaloim is, and the son came and told him in a cholim, this amount of money your father left you, and it's in that place, but it's Ma'aser Sheni. This was a true story. And the Chacham said, he doesn't have to rechen sich with his story that he says it belongs to Pliny in his cholam. You could take the money and put it in your pocket.
But how did he know where the money was?
For the cholam, but not a whole cholam is the emes. So the part that's emes is where he found the money. The other part is nicht emes.
If he finds the money, is emes.
Yeah, the guilt. If he finds the money, the finding the money is the emes part of the dream, and that's so the emes is already taken care of. Jetzt a von nicht emes, and so muss sein the Ma'aser Sheni or so like the zweite.
Maybe he's about choiv. That's why he knew.
Sag die Mara Shnai mei Zakai. Two people say he's a Zakai, and one says Chayev, so we go according to the Reiv, Zakai. Michtav Hechi Kasvi. In fact, how did they write the Psak Din when they had a machlokes between the Ayanim? So he says like this: Zakai. They didn't mention that there was a machlokes in between the Ayanim. They told this guy Zakai. No, plain Mizakinu, plain Mechayev.
Also, when you write a
They say, and two of them, right? But here, Reish Lakish says no. Shimon and Levi say you are chayiv, and Yehuda Reuven says you are pater. You don't say names. Midivreihem nizdake plaini. He says from their words came out that you were zeich, meaning there was a machlokes. You understand? Midivreihem. Why would you say Midivreihem? He says oiski coming from Zeyaveta. From all the machlekes and they wrote,
this is what the psak is.
So midivreim, from their words that came out, that means not everybody agreed, but you're a zakeh. In fact, what's the difference how you say the nusach? Listen, zakeh, finished. Nifta pifta, be a left. We'll soon get to that. There was a machlekes if he has to pay the daina shish cholak on the other two, menasa ba'adayu. The chelek that was in the case where two of them paskined by mistake and said he's chayiv to pay. So now those two dayanim are going to have to pay back. The dayanim have to pay back. So the Lamandam, according to the Lamandam, that says he only said zakai, and they didn't say which dayanim said chayiv and which one said pater mishalim. Then even the one that was the miyut, the one that was right, has to also pay, because if he wouldn't. Very good. Because if he wasn't there, the psak din wouldn't be able to happen. So he's part of the gram of the psak din happened. He did. It doesn't help, but he's part of the psak. He could have ran away, and they wouldn't be able to make a psak. It says according to one Reish Lakish, when he says plainu mizakno, plainu mechayvin, either plainu say mizakon, plainu say mechayvin, and the other one says pater. Like mishalim, the third one doesn't have to pay because. You go only the ones that made a mistake. The third one should be part of it. What about according to the one that says Zakai? Says the Gemara. You can't say this is the chilik. because I'll tell you that Zakai should say, even in this case, even in the first case where he only said Zakai, he shouldn't have to pay. Why shouldn't he have to pay? Because I'm sorry, he shouldn't have to pay even if he says Zakai. Let him say to the other Dayanim, if you would have listened to me, you also wouldn't have had to pay. So don't make me pay, even though it says just the word Zakai. Don't tell me there's a chilik. If you say who said Chayiv and who said Pater, then the one that's Pater is Pater. But if you say just Zakai, then the one that said Pater is going to be Chayiv. Why? Let him argue. Even if you use just the word Zakai, it still shouldn't be a chilik. It should still be Pater. Let him be able to tell him. If you would have listened to me, it wouldn't be a problem. Okay. Says the Gemara wants to be mafarish machlekes is to pay for the third dayan. Who pays? According to one that says Zakai, then the other two are the Yonim have to pay the chelik of the third dayan.
What's the idea of paying over here?
Paying because they have to reimburse the mistake in the psak. If they make a mistake in the psak, they have to reimburse them. The Yonim have to pay back. He has to pay back, yes. But according to the one that says Plenu Mazaka or Plenu Machayvim, Leibe Shalmi. But if you say the one who says these two said Chayv and this one said Pater, so the only ones that will have to pay are the two that made a mistake. But they don't have to pay for the third one. Says you want to really that's the new chilik you want to make between the lashon Zakai or if you specify who said Chayiv. No, only the two.
Who paid the whole thing?
2/3, only 2/3. If the third one they don't have to pay for.
The third one was right.
No, he said now you're right. Now he says there's a new chilik between if you say the lashon Zakai or you specify who said Zakai and who said Chayiv, right? So he says what's going to be the difference if the word was only Zakai, then the two have to compensate for the whole thing, even for the third person's chelik. But if you're specifying Pliny is the one that made the mistake, they said you're chayiv, and Pliny said pater. So those two Plinies only have to pay their chalakim, and not for the third chelik. That's how he wants to learn it. In fact, no matter why.
Somebody loses.
Yeah, sure. The Baldin is going to lose. In fact, according to the one that says Zakai, Mishalmi, the other two should pay for his chelik. Why? Let them say, if you weren't with us, there wouldn't have been any psak din. So you were part of the cause of this psak din. So you should pay. So there shouldn't be a chilik. Says the Gemara, only the chilik will be mishum lo yiselech rachel ba'amecha. When I get to the chilist, when I get to lashon hara. You write plainly Zakai, and you don't say who said it. Mishum loiselech rachel, because it's us to be mefarsim who is mezaka and who is mechayiv. That's mamshel chilus.
Who was right and who was wrong.
Okay, so therefore,
You
just say Zakai. You don't say which dayanim said were on your side and which was against you. That's not nice. That's chilus, and you're making that the baldin should have a kpeda on the one that went against him. No, I don't know. He won anyway, but he's going to have a kpeda. Or plain mechayv. He says no. You have to specify who said chay, who said pata, because it looks like a sheker if you don't say who. We have Laza.
Why if you just say Zakai or you say Chayiv, why is it a sheker?
If you say just Zakai, you just say chayiv. No, because when you say it, it sounds like everybody agreed. And you can't write it in a way like everybody agreed. That's all. Rabbi Elazar Islay Damar. Rabbi Elazar holds of the Sfara of Rabbi Yochanan that you shouldn't specify who said Pata and who said Chayev, but the Islay Damar. But he says you're not allowed to write it in a way that's deceiving, as if all three Dayanim passing the same thing.
But what's the issue?
Hilka Kasvi Hachi. This way, that's why he wrote Midivreya. Out of the words came out Nizdaka complaining that the guy became Zeicha. But out of the words means there was a machlekes. We don't have to tell you who. That's rechilos. But we do have to tell you the truth that not everybody agreed. Out of the words came out
But
that you were
what
going
is
to say.
what is important, this whole thing about two and one?
No, the importance is not to specify who said chai, who said
In every
because it's a
Torah,
chilis.
never in Torah, there are always people that the Bezdin can argue two of them yes and one against.
Right, that's fine. He says, but how do you write the psak on the star? Do you have to specify that it should look truthful?
Okay.
That it shouldn't look like everybody it was unanimous. You have to write in a way.
Yeah, they're right.
Out of the words, there were three, and out of the words, it came out that you were Zaki. Okay. Gabas Hadova, they came to this, when they came to the decision, they would bring them in. In fact, who did they bring in? If you're going to say they brought in the Balei Din, Hasem Kaime, what are you talking about? The Balei Din are there. Where did they leave? Where does it say in the Mishnah they left? It says you might have laid them. Rather, it's talking about they brought in the Eidim in order they should come back and testify. In fact, who's the following? The Lake Rabbi Nassim, the Tanya we learned in Abraisa, we said their Eidus is not combined unless they all see the same story. Rabbi Shuban Kachayma, the Eidus Mistaref, Afilu Bezah Chazah. Yeah, then they come back and testify together. So says who's it following it? So he says it's not like Rab Nassan. Rabbi Shuba and Kachayma, Afilu Bezah Chazah. Even if the two actions happened, like Reuven's, one saw that Reuven lent Shimon money on Sunday, and a second aide saw that Reuven lent money to Levi on Monday. So since Basach Hakol, you have two Eidim that Shimon owes. Shimon lent money to Reuven, let's say, and the two Eidim that saw Shimon lend Reuven money. One day Sunday, one Alva on Sunday, and one Alva on Monday.
Oh, two different alvas?
Each one is testifying about two different Alvas. We say we combine it because for sure Mana is old, because it's the same people, the same labor, the same Malva. Says the Eidus is not going to be good till they come and testify as one together.
Even though they're saying different stories?
Yes. Okay, says the Gemara, Rabbi Nassim says you don't even have to hear them together. You can listen to one testimony one day, and you can listen to the next day on another day.
It sounds like you only need one aid. How could you have two separate days?
But he says since it's the same people, and it comes out that he owes $100 regardless. So these two Eidim, whether it was Sunday or money, he owes that money. You have two Eidim saying he owes that money, the same people. So it's like two Eidim testifying that Reuven owes Shimon.
So therefore the Eidim should be together, no?
So we're going to learn. This is called Baal Pish 9 because it's the same amount, same malva, and the same labor. So for sure the labor has to pay back.
If you go to a din Torah and you only have one guy, and say my second guy's coming in from California tomorrow.
Yeah, so according to Rav Nassan, you don't have to have them together. So that's why we say our mission doesn't follow Rav Nassan, that they have to come in and testify together. Says Gemara Loy Balei Din. It's not referring to the Eidus, it's referring to the Balei Din. We said how do they go outside? Rabbi Nechemiah follows Rabbi Nechemiah, who holds that you take out the Balei Dinim when the Dayanim have to make a decision. They say, okay, Balei Din Ma'areis, get out. We'll call you back when we have a decision. The Tanya that we learned in the Brais, Rabbi Nechemiah so was the minig of the pure-minded Chacham in Yerushalayim. Machnis Balei Din. They brought the Balei Dinim with Shoimim and the Reveim, and we would listen. The Dayanim would listen to their tinus. And we'd bring in the Eidim, we'd listen to their words. And then we tell the Balei Din and the Eidim lachutz outside. And then they would come and make a decision. Once Gomer Sadava, Machnis say they would bring in the Balei Dinim.
What about the Eidus also?
No, there's no need. It's just the Balei Dinim. In fact, you really? Well, time we learned the Brais Gomer Sadava Machnis Eidim. So as the Fedish that you bring in the Eidim. Says the Gemara, the Braisa, Hahid like Rabbi Nosson. That Braisa is not referring to Rabbi Nosson. Rabbi Nosson doesn't hold that you have to have both Aiden come back and testify together. We said Eidus is not combined unless they saw it together as one. Even if it's one after the other. What are they arguing about? Says Gemara, either they're arguing in a shot of a pasuk, a drasha, or they're arguing in svara. If you want, I'll tell you the machlekes in svara. The Tanna Kama says, "Amana kamasad hai, loy kamasad hai." He says this mana that 1/8 is testifying that he saw Reuben lend Shimon $100 on Sunday is not testifying about Monday that Reuben lent Shimon $100. And the one that's testifying on Monday is not testifying about the $100 that was lent on Sunday. And what does Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha say? Both are testifying about $100 that the loiva borrowed from the malva. It's the same loiva. So since they're both coming, they have in common, it's the same malva and loiva, and it's the same amount of money, so finished. You can combine the Eidim, even though they're talking about 2 separate days, 2 different avos. All you want, I can tell you the arguing in the dash of the pasuk. See if it says in the pasuk, "Behu Eid Oira Ayada." The time we learned in the Brayse, "Mashmash and never Lo Yakum Eid." From this that it says Lo Yakum Eid any Yedei Yeshua Echad. When it says 1/8 should stand to say this, don't I know we're referring to 1/8? Why does he have to say Lo Yakum Eid Echad? We learn from his for all over. Whenever it says the word Eid, singular, it means 2 Eidim. If the Torah will say Lo Yakum Eid Echad, then you know it's 1. But 8 is 2. And the Torah says, since it says Behu Eid, B'lashon Yachid, the Behu is come to teach us till they both see it. They see the same Maisa, and only if they see the same Maisa, then it's mitzvah. But if not, it's not going to be. It's not going to be mitzvah.
Which Gemara do we have about Eid?
In Saita, Lo Yakum Eid Echad. In fact, what about the second time? So he says, he says the Eidus is mitzvah in any case, even if it's 2 actions, one after the other, you still could be mitzvah of them. That's what he brings down. We said Eidus is not miskayim and best until they both come and testify as one. Rab Nassan says, Shemin dvaru shal Eid zeh hayoim u'kshiyav chaver l'macha Shemin es dvarav. And they pass in the din based on after they hear the second Eid testimony. So what are they arguing? Because the Tanna Kama says they have to come testify as one. Rab Nassan, in order for the Eidus to be miskayemes. Rab Nassan says no, one can come today, one can come tomorrow. What are they arguing? Others say they're arguing in a svara, others they say they're arguing in the pasuk. Others say they're arguing in a svara. Masava, the Tanna Kama holds Eid echad ki asi lishvur asi. He says 1 Eid. If he's coming, he's only able to be mechayiv the baldin in ashvur. But l'mameida lo yasi. 1 Eid is not coming to be mechayiv mama. He can't, because you need for mama you need 2 Eidos. So therefore, when both Eidim are testifying b'fnei atzmai, it's separately, then it's considered Eidos for shvur, not for mama. And therefore, you cannot be mitzvah of the 2 Eidos, such 2 Eidos to be mechayiv mama. What about Rabbi Nassan? He says you could. He says, what, when 2 Eidim come to testify together, they're speaking together at the same time? No, one guy speaks, says his Eidos, and the other guy says his Eidos. So it's never together. So it's a day later, same thing. Only we combine them. Therefore here also we'll combine them, even though it's a day apart. Others say they're arguing in the pasuk. If he's not going to say this, he'll carry us in. But the Kuli Alma, Kirabanim, the Pliga leader, Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha. The side of Tanakam, Sayyab Nassan hold like the Chachamim who all argue Rabbi Shimon ben Kochel. They say that they both have to see the same story, and they dash in this from it says, "But who ate?" Who ate? B'lashon yachid means the same story. That they could be mitzadif only if they're talking about the same halbah. One ma'isa. And here they're arguing if we compare the Haggadah to the Riyah. Masav Makshina. One says Makish Haggadah, meaning just like you have to the Eidos only you have to see the same story. They have to be there at the same time seeing the same story. That's the only time you'll combine the Eidos, and therefore we'll say the Haggadah has to be together. Masav Makshina. One says you don't compare the Eidos that it says they have to see it in the same time, that the Haggadah also has to be in the same time. Because it could be one today, one tomorrow. We're going to have to stop here. Reb Shimon ben Eliyakim hat mir stark da leid, Reb Yosef ben Reb Chanina mismachei. Reb Yosef ben Reb Chanina tried very hard to give smicha. I'm sorry, Reb Shimon ben Eliyakim tried very hard to give smicha to Reb Yosef ben Reb Chanina. And he was looking for the opportune time that they should be masking to give him smicha. And he wasn't matzliach. One day, Reb Shimon Eliyakim was sitting before Rabbi Yochanan. Amalo, Rabbi Yochanan said to his Talmidim, is there anybody that knows if the halach is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha? Meaning that okay, we'll get to it soon. Like the halach like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha, or not? Meaning that Eidim could testify on different times. So he answered, Dein Yada, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina knows. Amalei, Rabbi Yochanan said, Leima Izu. Let him say, Amalei, so Shimon Yaakov said, Rabbi Shimon Yaakov said to Rabbi Yochanan, Lismechei Ma'aberesha. First, Master, be Masmech, give smicha to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina first. Samchei, Rabbi Yochanan gave him smicha. After that, Amalei, B'ni, Amalei, Ketz Shemata. My son, tell me, how did you hear about this machlekes? What was the articulate what the machlekes was about according to if it was like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kach or not? Amalei Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina said to Rabbi Yochanan, Kach Shemaiti. So have I heard. Shemaiti Rabbi Yeshua ben Kach Rabbi Nassan that Rabbi Yeshua ben Kach has made to Rabbi Nassan that Eidim do not have to say the Eidos together. Just like according to Rabbi Yeshua ben Kach, you don't need them to see this the Maisa of the Havad together, so too you don't need them, they should testify in Bezdin together. And since their opinions are connected, and the halach is kept nasam, and maybe the halach is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha. So, Rabbi Yochanan said, for this knowledge that I need him, it says, Svarab Shutta that Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha holds like Rabbi Nassan. Hashta maduch my ika, Ri'iyah maduch, the ika is the seeing of the Eidos, which normally I would say they have to see it together. Nevertheless, I'm Rabbi Shimon that you don't need them to see it together. Haggadah about Haggadah Eidos, where there it doesn't mention anywhere. You want to compare it to the Iyah. So Mibaya, of course, if you're comparing it to the Iyah, and by the Iyah you say you don't need a biyachad, of course you don't need a Haggadah biyachad. Amalei, so Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, Lisa, since we were already masming, let's say that we're not going to take him off the smicha. So Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Yosef, since we already were masming, let's say that we're not going to take him down. And here we have it. So Adam Gadol, who was since he was already musmach, samich, his smicha remains, even though it was based on nachamutis, on a mistake, but we're not mevatel this smicha. Halach Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha. The halach is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha, that two Eidim who testify on different halvos. One testified on Sunday he saw Len Shimon money $100, and one testified that he saw Len Shimon $100 on Monday. Bein bekakois. Or each one testified on a different Haidah. On the karka, each one was made on different times, but on the same karka. Where each one is testifying on a different halva, on a different $100. So either one, the halach is like Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha, that you do combine the two witnesses. Ula halach Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha b'kakois. Ula says the halach is like Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha only by kakois, that you're going to combine the two edim. Avloy b'metaltlin, not by edis of two separate halvayis, because it's not a complete edis. Because each aid is testifying on a different money, on a different $100. One is testifying about the halva of $100 on Sunday, and one is testifying. One aid is testifying on $100 of Monday. It's two separate two different incidents. Abaye said to Allah, halacha. When you say the halacha, meklal pligi, is from your words that you said that you paskin like Rabbi Shimon ben Kacha is the mashma the chachamim argue. Thank you, we said beferish that the chacham are made to Rabbi Shimon ben Kacha by Eidus Karka. They do combine, and here it says halacha, which implies that the chacham argue. And where do we see that? He says, we learned it in the Braisa that was set, the Braisa of Nezikin that was learned and set by Karna. Moedin chacham Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha, that the chacham made it to Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha, Aiden that testify on two different things, they are combined. Where do we see that? That if there was a shepherd who was a kohen, and the b'chai goes to the kohen, so in order for him to be able to shacht and eat it for himself, is only if he finds two mumim. He cannot testify in the mumim. But let's say you had an aid for each mum, and the mum had to come on its own. He could, because why can't the kohen, the shepherd, testify? We're afraid that he made the mum. But we have now two aides. Each aid is saying that about a different mum that it came on its own. The aides is mitzdarif to they combine to be matter the b'chayr, because b'sach hakol you have two aidim and this b'chayr representing two mumin. Therefore, we can be matter. Ubeidis karka, when there are two aidim that testify, each one is testifying about a different hidah. So it gets combined. Ubeid is chazaka, and also by is chazaka by karka. Let's say one aid testified that the beginning of the Shemitah cycle, the first 3 years of the Shemitah cycle, this person had a chazaka and nobody was meicha. And one testifies that he ate peiros in the last 3 years of the Shemitah cycle. So then we say the edus is combined, because the sachakal, there's the machzik, the one that's making chazaka, has two edim about him making chazaka of 3 years in this karka. So therefore he's believed to say he bought it from the original buyers and he lost his shtar mechira because he had already years of chazaka. Chayin also when they get to the edus of two siders, which is needed to show a simin that this person a gadol or a gedayla shababas, and the Gemara is going to explain about these two siders. So the Chacham made it to Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha that we combine these two edus, even though they're testifying about different items or different hairs. And Chachamim did not argue on Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha only by the case of the two edus testifying each aid about a different halva. So that's the only place where the Chachamim said we don't combine. But we see by Karka, the Chacham agreed to Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha that we do combine. And which comes out opposite from what we Abaye implied from the word halacha is mashma that Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha that the Chacham not made it to Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha. What you're asking from Rabbi Di on Ula, Marsav Pligi, Ula holds that Chacham arguing Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha even by Edis Karka or Marsav Lei Pligi, and Rabbi Di hold that the Chachamim do not argue on Rabbi Yishmael ben Kacha by Edis Karka, and we do combine them. In fact, but the Asa case where we talking about V'chein Shababein V'Shababas about the hairs. Elam if going to say Echlaim one says he saw Achs Begabo. He saw one on the back by the Eva. Eid Echlaim Arb Kesa. He saw it by the front, by the stomach part. Hi Chatzidav Chatzi Eidus who Lecheda each Eid is only testifying on a half a thing. But each one is a Chatzi Eidus because each Eid is only testifying about one sider. And it's not two Eidim, that it's two Chatzi Eidim. So the chayda, it's if you don't have Adam testifying, two Adam testifying, each aid testifying about two siders, we can't accept and combine such aidas, because these are two. Each one is testifying only about a chatzidava about one sider, and the only aidus that you can combine is if each aid is testifying about two siders that she's a gedela, but testifying about one sider doesn't make her a gedela, because each one is testifying just about a chatzidava. Ella, rather the Bryce is talking about echadei meshtayim begabav. Rather, each one is testifying about two sides, that she has two sides and she's a gedela. One is testifying the two sides in the front, one is in the back. One is testifying the two sides in the back, one is testifying two sides in the front. So since each aid is testifying that she's a gedela, even though they saw this simonim in different places, the aidus is combined. So I said in the name of Ula, the halach is like Rabbi Shimon and Kocha, where each one testifies on a different hoidah, that we combine them. Side by metalton, with each one is testifying about a different alva, is also we combine the two edim, not just by karka, but by metalton as well, even though it's two separate alvas. The Rabbanim who came from Mechuzah, they had said, Rabbi Zayd said in the name of Rab, the halach is like Rabbi Shimon and Kocha, that will combine two edim testifying on different heidas about the same karka, but not by money, because each one is testifying about different monies, and therefore we cannot combine the two edim together. So like Yomar Rav, who says the halach is not like Rabbi Shimon and Kocha by hava, because they're not testifying on the same money, Litame goes according to his reasoning. If one aid says in front of me, this person was made it to me on Sunday that he owes a mana, and a second aid testified in front of me, he was made that he owes $100 on Monday, and so too one aid said, hey, in front of me, Reuben borrowed from Shimon on Sunday, and then another one comes and says, in front of me, Reuben was made on Monday that he borrowed the mana. Mitzdarf, in these first two cases, they are combined. Hava, that means each aid testifies about a different halva. One aid testifies that on Sunday he was made that he owes $100, and one comes and he says, "Oh, in front of me, Reuben borrowed from Shimon on Monday." So each one aid is testifying about a different chiyuv. If on Sunday Reuben was made that he borrowed money from Shimon, so the halva was done already on Sunday or before. And the second aid who comes and says, in front of me, Reuben borrowed from Shimon on Monday, that's a separate halva. So in these last two cases, they cannot be combined because they're two separate halvas. So we found that Rav Nachman Rabbi Yitzchak, Rav Nachman Rabbi Yitzchak found that Amalei said to Maishna, what's so special about the edus of halva, halva, delay, that you're not going to be even started? Why? Because the money, the chachazi high, like chachazi high, because they're two separate halvais, they're two separate monies, and this aid is testifying about a completely different transaction than the second aid. One aid is testifying about a transaction that happened on Sunday, and the other aid is testifying on a transaction that happened on Monday. Neither of them are testifying about the same transaction. In fact, why by Hidach Hadah? You're going to say they do get combined. Say that the one that's being made about Sunday that Reuben borrowed from Shimon is not the same money that the second aid is testifying and being made that Reuben was made to him that he borrowed from Shimon on Monday, that the Hidah was on Monday. And the Gemara Rav Hana answered, no, Rav is talking about a case, the Amalei, that the Levi said Lahai Basa to the last aid, that he was made to him. This $100 that I'm now being made in front of you, I already was made in front of another aid. So you see that the second one knows about the two haidas, the second aid knows about the first aid, about the same avah. So therefore you can be mitzvah of the two aids. In fact, only the last aid knows about the first aid being made, so there's two edis on the hava. Kamala Yada, but the first one doesn't know about the second Haidah that happened on a later date. So you can't be mitzvah of the edis. It's not called v'hu'ed. It has to be that together. V'hu'ed means that they both have to know about it together. And for the Gemara, that the hada v'hu'ed, so the kash was v'hu'ed means that they both have to know about it together in order that it should be considered as they saying edis together as one. And for the Gemara, the hada v'azal is talking about that the lady went back. And he said today, the first aid, hi, this money that I was made to you in front of you, he tells the first guy already, another person, and later he comes back to him, he says, another person has been made to me about the same alba. So then it's considered as both are being made in front of them. I mean, that he's being made in front of these two aides about the same money. And therefore, the Eidus is Metztarev. It's considered as a one aid because they both know about each other, and it complies with the word v'hu'ed, meaning that the fulfilling v'hu'ed that they both saw the same thing at the same time, being that they both know about each other's haidah, that he was made in front of both of them. Amalei Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak said to Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, Tanur daito shenisnachton es daiti. May your mind be at ease, for you have placed my mind at ease. So Rav Huna, however, pointed out a shaila to that beer. Amalei Ma'ayin Chusa, what kind of ease is it? The Rava, L'cheira Rava, Itemer Rav Shesa Shada Banarga. Or others say, Rav Sheshes swung an axe at it and disproved it by raising the following question: Lav Haina Haidah Achava. Isn't this the same case of the aid being made after saying another aid saying in front of him the guy borrowed the money, meaning he's being made about money that the person had borrowed from his friend. So it's the same case of Haidah Achaidah. It's exactly the case of Haidah Achava, because it's a case of where it was done in front. Each one went back to the other. He says, I'm being made in front of you. I'm going to ask that I borrowed from my friend $100. And then he went to the first one. He says, I was made in front of that person who, about this money, that's $100 that I borrowed in front of you. So why does it have to say these dinim of Haidah Achaidah and after Haidah Achava? That's two same cases. Amalei. So he said to Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak, I'm sorry. Amalei, so Rav Huna said, the son of Rav Yeshua, Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua said, Hainu l'shmiya li alaycho. This is your practice, meaning what I have heard from the people of your city. That you chop down a tree and then you replant them. You have a strange way of resolving kashas and then bringing up the kashas over again. Zok the Gemara, Nahadoi Amri, in Nahadoi, they said any aids of two eidim by Mamim, Bein Haidah Achada, Bein Haidah Achava, Bein Hava Achava, Bein Hava Achaidah, Mitzdarfei. So all four cases, even in the cases where they're not testifying about the same transaction, even when they're testifying about different transactions, Sunday was one transaction $100 and Monday was a second, nevertheless, you combine the two. In the Nada, they say we combine the two eidim together. Come on. Like who was established this halacha? Rabbi Yeshua ben Kacha, like Rabbi Shimon ben Kacha.